Welcome to it, sports fans. It is the MKT Show, mid-month, 15th of March. Good stuff. Good to be here. Good to be alive. Joined, of course, by the one and only Gareth Cliff. He just can't get enough sports. That's Gareth's thing. We physical distancing right now. That's what we're doing right now. For those of you watching on YouTube, it's called physical distancing. Great to have you with me. MKT Show, Cliff Central Sport. Awesome weekend of sport. Man, and now it's starting to ramp up, right? And when it's over, it's like, okay, well, now it's basketball. And if you're into basketball, there's March Madness coming. That's going to be amazing. So expect people to have no sleep if they don't live in America and they enjoy college basketball. All right, well, that's not over. The Champions League's getting serious now. Europa League's getting serious. Golf is on the horizon, right? The Players' Championship, that was absolutely amazing. I mean, there's so much coming up. Obviously, the first major will be coming up pretty soon. The rugby's hotting up, the championship. New Zealand's coming back in the rugby. It's just awesome. It's all ramping up. And, as vaccines roll out, it looks like more and more fans will be allowed back in. If you're into the professional wrestling, the WWE, that's rolling out. So it's really, really awesome. As a sports fan, I'm delighted. I'm delighted with where things are. By the way, go ahead and check out my socials, MKT Inspires. Like, share, subscribe. I've just given my take on the weekend, the results from the weekend and everything that's coming up ahead. So, feeling really, really good. Mondays, as I always do, where I was right, where I was wrong. And then we'll talk a little bit about the rugby, France, England. That was something else. MKT Inspires, as I said, social media. Otherwise, Cliff Central Sport. Otherwise, sport@cliffcentral.com if you would like to email myself and the team. And by the way, if you're an independent artist and you'd like to send us music and stuff like that you'd like maybe to play on the show, feel free. sport@cliffcentral.com. All right, get into it. Where I was right, where I was wrong. Let's start with where I was right. Listen, Spurs aren't ready to win. I missed the game. I didn't get to see it live, but what I did do is I did rewatch 60 minutes this morning. No good. That's not a team who wants to win. When the pressure comes, you cannot fold. If you want to win, the pressure is why you play, right? The great teams relish pressure because you know what happens? When you're in pressure situations, it means the games matter. That's when the best and the brightest come out to win. That's not a team that's ready to win. Arsenal are trash. And you folded like a deck chair at the end of a banquet dinner, they say. That was awful. Spurs are nowhere near ready to win. Mourinho is not the problem. Those players aren't championship material. When the pressure comes, Kane, etc. Like when Son went off, it's like, oh, okay, everyone else, that's pathetic. Forget the Lamela red card. They folded. Pressure makes you or molds you. I'm afraid Spurs aren't ready to win. And I said it before, Mourinho's not the problem. Those players ain't good enough. That ain't going to cut it, folks. Where I was wrong, Man United are going to come top 4. I think even if you hate Manchester United, it's clear now. They aren't great, but what they won't do is lose. They've got a resoluteness to them now. That means they're going to be top 4, right? They've got a tough run of games coming up, but I do think AC Milan will knock them out of the Europa League. That'll open up their league ambitions. And I think they're coming top 4. You got to accept it. Whether you like it or not, Ollie's got them organized. They look mean, and they aren't shipping goals, and they've certainly got the talent at the other end every now and then to knock them in the back of the net. And this was with Anthony Martial. Imagine when they get some players up there. Listen, I'm not as in love with Marcus Rashford as everybody else, but I think they've got the systems in place now. Man United's systems are in place. So shout out to United. I was wrong. They'll make top 4. Good for them. Where I was right, I said at the beginning of the season, everybody was panicking. Everybody was saying Liverpool to repeat. Everybody was saying this. I said, no. Here's how you win in life, in business, in sport. You put the best talent with the most money, with the best leadership. Pep Guardiola is the best manager in the world. Man City have arguably the best squad in the world, and they will pay for Diaz. Took a little bit of time at the beginning of the season, but you can't have that mix of people and talent and excellence around each other and not win. From the beginning of the season, they were the best. I said it. I was dead right. Man City to walk the league. Best manager, best owner, best players, championship. So Man City, I was right there. Where I was wrong, I said Barcelona would turn it around against PSG last week. I was dead wrong. And I was partly right. And then Dembele just came through and showed why they should have never paid 100 million for him. Again, I said it about Tottenham. He's not a Barcelona player. When you're at Barcelona, it shouldn't feel like pressure, because when the pressure comes, that's what you live for. That's why you want to be in the big time. You want those big moments. Dembele was through 3 times one-on-one in the first half. And my goodness, did he spit the dummy, as the Americans say. He spat the dummy. That means he choked. I'm sorry, he ain't a Barcelona guy. I was wrong. I thought Leo Messi would go deep into his soul and give us one of those all-time performances. I was dead wrong there. Barcelona, PSG, ugly. Where I was right, listen, Bryson DeChambeau is golf now. I said it last week. I said it on Friday. Bryson DeChambeau is golf. If I ask you if you've read any sports headlines today, who won the championship, you might think Bryson won it. All of the headlines were Bryson and his failure. What does that tell you? He gets clicks, right? He gets clicks. He'll get you to click on YouTube. He'll get you to click on newspapers, and he'll get you to turn the page. Folks, big, 6'4", physicist, make my own clubs, 6 shakes a day. Some character in golf, please. Not everyone needs to be Justin Thomas or Morikawa. They're great. Rory McIlroy, they're awesome. No swag. Folks, I know for some of us that are older, and sometimes we get into ourselves too much. Folks, sport is a fun thing. It's meant to be a celebration. When they're playing, it's a celebration of their talents. All of those hours they in the dark that they're practicing, they're up at 5 a.m., 6 a.m., the sacrifices, in inverted commas, they make, they must go and celebrate. Bryson DeChambeau says, I'm going to leave it out there. I'm not going to die wondering. Reminds me of another guy called Tiger Woods. You heard of him? Bryson's the savior of golf. Forget what you think of him. He's got some juice. He brings it to the game. Golf needs it. It's a tired sport. Without Tiger Woods, golf is dead. It is not a consumer product. Bryson DeChambeau, he's the guy. He is the guy, and I was dead right there. I said it on Friday. Where I was wrong, Powell will win at the Players' Championship. Having said that, I do love Bryson, but, if anything, his power cost him. Lee Westwood, power. Went for that. If you didn't watch, on the 16th, he hit that wayward drive. It went way right into the woods, and then he choked the putt on the 17th. Absolutely heartbreaking. DeChambeau, love him. Power cost him. I was dead wrong there. The Players' Championship. Congratulations, Justin Thomas. And he's starting to become a bit of a guy, right? Listen, he's toast, right? He's dry toast with no jam or butter. He's one of the most boring people in the world. Zero character, right? But some people are pros, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying I like my guys. I like Bryson, I like John Daly. That's who I like. I like those guys. I mean, obviously, I like people who are going to win as well. And JT, professional, I can't fault him. But for the sake of the sport, we need DeChambeau. But Justin Thomas, he's a pro, and he's a guy. He's a winner now, right? I think he joined a list of, is it 4 people to have won as many championships as he has, major, or what we call major. It's not a major, but big championships under the age of 30. He joined his hero Tiger, one of the only few to have won, I think, is it 5 underneath the age of 30. Sensational. JT, congratulations. Listen, I was dead wrong there. I thought Powell would win at the Players. Where I was right, Italy shouldn't be in the Six Nations. Italy should not be in the Six Nations. It's a joke. They are terrible. Folks, if Italy can be in the Six Nations rugby, right? Fiji, Samoa, and these other countries should be in a rugby championship of sorts. I'm sorry. Italy have stunk the joint up now for, it's been what, close on 10 years. How long have they been in the championship? They are non-factor. Don't give me, listen, Perese, who's the great number 8, is awesome. But Italy are a joke. I'm sorry. Somebody needs to say it. And we need to say it. Italy shouldn't be in a serious rugby tournament. What are they doing there? I'm sorry. And I've said this for years now. Why are Italy in the Six Nations? It makes no sense. And eventually, you know what it starts to do? when somebody's getting bullied, it's not fun to watch at an elite level. It's all good and well to try and grow the sport, but Italy getting beaten 45-10 by every single team every week does nothing for the Chinese consumer, the American consumer, which is where you should be thinking of taking the game. You know why the NFL is growing? Parity. Italy should be in a league with Samoa and Fiji. They should be doing something. I mean, all the players play from the islands, play in Europe anyway. But Italy, it should go back to 5 nations, and let's cut this nonsense. It's rubbish. And I've said it years ago. I'm sorry. I'm over it. Italy, get the hell out of my face. Hey, nice food, great ski resorts, terrible rugby players. Terrible rugby players. Italy, get out of here. Where I was wrong. Dak Prescott got all of his money from Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys, huh? $160 million, 4 years. If you're not into it, by the way, let me inform you. He wanted that 4-year deal. You know why? Quarterbacks want to hit what they call the market again. Because in a salary cap sport is when he comes again, then the quarterback market has been reset by somebody else. He's getting about $40 million a year now, which sounds like a lot now. In 2 years, you'll be laughing at that. The salary cap with the new NFL deal, you're probably talking about $250 million. All the top quarterbacks were getting paid $50 million minimum. Dak Prescott got all his money. I wouldn't have paid him. If I was the Dallas Cowboys, I think he's a mediocre quarterback. And let me tell you the formula in all sports, folks. Never pay average good money. And certainly never pay good, great money. They've paid Dak Prescott great money. Dak is decent to good. I'm sorry, that's not a winning reputation, especially in a salary cap sport. The NFL is get the quarterback on a cheap deal, surround him with talent, and that's how you win. With Dak Prescott, you could have gone and got a quarterback out of college. He was a 4th-round pick. Yes, he's hit. Yes, he's a great representative for the organization. Dallas Cowboys is the reason they haven't won in 25 years. This is why. You can't pay good, great money. Not in a salary cap sport. That's the end for the Dallas Cowboys for the next few years. Forget it. Dak's not winning anything. Forget it. Especially now that you paid him. You couldn't win when you were paying Dak $300,000. Now you're paying him $40 million a year. The cap's come down. It's about $181 million this year. Forget it. Joke. Absolute joke. Listen, where I was right, and people will hate me for this, and I haven't spoken about him for a long time. Folks, Man United are better without Paul Pogba. It's another season where he's been injury prone. They're going to come, top 3? Comfortably. They're going to come top 4, certainly. They're into the real stages of the Europa League. And they're doing better without Pogba. Be honest. Just be honest. This idea that every time Pogba comes back, United are better, they're not. It's another season where Pogba's been injured, and largely it's been other people and Bruno Fernandes. They're going to come, 2nd, 3rd? So, sorry, if you're a Pogba fan, it's not personal now. It's the stats. He ain't it. Right? Move on. If you can sell him now, sell him now. Because you know what he is becoming now? Folks, you can't be these two things in life. You can't be high maintenance and not available. If your wife said to you, I don't care how beautiful your wife is, right? If your wife was 10 out of 10 for beautiful, but always left the kids at school at some point, at some point, they call it diminishing returns. Paul Pogba's a headache, right? He's a headache. Now, that's clear. I think we can all agree on that. Plus, now he's injury prone. Folks, that is a terrible combination in sport. You can be one of the two. If you're a headache and you're always available and producing, production tolerance. But now it's 5 years of you're a headache and you're always injured now. No thanks. And you cost a lot. By the way, Paul Pogba costs a lot. You got to pay him at £350,000 a week. Man United can clear that space now. Get 50 million for him. Take the loss. Move on. You're building a new culture. You got McTominay. You got Fred. You got probably Matic for another season. And you can go into the market again should you make the Champions League. Sorry. It's over now. Move on. Where I was wrong, finish off on this great story. I said it was impossible to win in India, right? In cricket. Said that last week. Well, boy, oh boy, was I wrong. SA ladies went there, dominated India. 2-1 series victory. Tremendous. Come on, the Proteas. Yes, please. So the ladies team, if you didn't see it, 2-1 win. Delighted for the ladies. Absolutely delighted. And what a performance in that game as well. Like, that's a pressure game, right? That's the rubber match. Won by 6. What was it? It was 6 wickets, I think. Like that's what you do. Pressure came on our ladies, and just an incredible performance. Man, I loved it. Didn't catch all of it. I'm not really a one-day guy. I kind of like the long-form stuff. But I was checking in there. I was just like, oh, we're cruising. And boy, oh boy, did we cruise in the end. 6-wicket victory, 2-1. Congratulations to the Protea ladies bringing it home from India. All right, let's take Rikus Swart. I mean, this guy. Rikus just loves Man United. He says Man United's top 4 is basically secured. I'm happy. Good for you. At Rikus, I said it. I was wrong. Man United's top 4 is secured. Great win. Listen, West Ham are a handful, huh? Let's not muck about. West Ham under Moyes this season. What's funny is West Ham's best, probably the catalyst to West Ham going to this level, is a Man United player. Isn't that hilarious? Wouldn't it be funny if Jesse Lingard somehow catapults West Ham into the top 4 and Man United don't make it? Don't see it happening. Rikus, hands up. No mas. They are going to the top 4. Rikus says, to think the Springboks were once beaten by those Italian guys. Those were darker days, huh? We once lost to Italy, guys. I think we once lost to Japan as well, huh? Wow. What a wow, as people say. What a wow. Jesse says, Everton are being Everton again, don't you think? Listen, there's a real term in psychology. You'll forgive me if it's the wrong analogy, but it's called the small brother syndrome or small sister syndrome. I forget what it is, where you almost are so used to being bullied that even if you do achieve, you never quite step into those shoes. It's not imposter syndrome, but there's that thing where you cower always to the big brother or the little brother. I just forget what the term is called. But I think Everton, it's just like, okay, Liverpool are out of it now. It's your turn to be the Liverpool club. And oh well. Because they have no excuses. That was embarrassing. Calvert-Lewin missed some chances as well. Everton are being Everton. Well said. The Toffees, huh? Sad. Carlo Ancelotti is going to clear out half of that team, by the way, because there's a few people that aren't good enough. The problem is their captain's not good on. Michael Keane. Don't like him. No, he seems like a leader and a nice guy, but being nice doesn't always mean you're going to win. So, yeah. Jesse, I think it's harsh. But yeah, Everton doing Everton things. All right, let's finish off on the rugby. Listen, change while you're changing. So sometimes when we're changing, it's tough, right? It's because change is hard. But often we make it harder for ourselves because we do what? As people, we're bad at this, and I speak for myself here. Whilst you're undergoing the process of change, whether it's habits, you're leaving an old relationship, or whatever it may be, is you also want to judge your progress whilst you're changing. It's a terrible idea because you're holding yourself to a standard you've never known whilst you're supposed to be getting there. It's impossible, right? In psychology, they say it's impossible to observe something whilst you are in something, right? The psychoanalysts will always tell you, don't try and observe a situation you are in. It's impossible to do it. We all think we can, but if you're embroiled in a situation, it is impossible to objectively observe a situation. My point is this: France shouldn't panic in the rugby, all right? What you saw on the weekend is a lack of experience, because once again, when the pressure comes, you need to have been there, done that. And this young France team, and they're young, they're exciting, they're flashy, they got the best scrum half in the world, but they haven't been there. You know how I know? They folded. When the time came to play possession rugby, they kicked it away in the last 5 minutes, right? They should have played possession rugby, and that is some blame on Dupont. We must be clear. Listen, if he's going to be touted as the greatest, then we hold you to GOAT standards, by the way. If you're the greatest right now going, we don't do what they call grade on a curve because you're young. If you're the best scrum half in the world, you need to see France home there. You need to be the general, because when Fourie Dupré was the best in the world, when Aaron Smith was the best in the world, when George Gregan was the best in the world, what would they always do? They'd command the pack. In those minutes, in those last 5 championship minutes, Dupont should have taken more control. He should have controlled his pack. It should have been simple, what we in South Africa know as Blue Bulls rugby. But instead, what he did was he went back to the coaching instead of trusting himself and being a leader on the field. They were still doing the up and under tactics, which of course is the percentage game of today. But I'm afraid you need to be able to feel the game, and that comes with experience. France haven't been in positions that mattered for a long time, right? They've been tosh. They've been rubbish for a long time. So now what happened was that it was time for France to deliver when the rubber met the road. And they didn't know where to go. You could see all the young players froze up. What I will say to them is, don't panic now. You're in the process of change. Don't panic now. Give the youngsters probably this season and next season to gain some experience. England's team had double the caps of France. And keep in mind, you were missing your best fly half, right? And Tamak is on the road to recovery. And you pushed England close. And that's the best England have to give, by the way. That is England's world. If that was the World Cup final, England would have played that team. That was the best they've got. And you pushed them mighty close. Do not panic. Please, Fabien Galtier. And my biggest concern is the French administration. I mean, they run it like South African sport is run. You never know what is going to happen from them. So my advice to them, if I was France, relax. That was close. It was tight. But England ultimately, they bullied you. And I think a little bit the break did no favors to the French because they looked fatigued, right? When it mattered, they looked tired. They started slipping off tackles. The defense was France's thing throughout the game. They were slipping off tackles. People weren't in place. That's a fatigue thing. And that's what happens when you haven't been conditioned for 3 weeks. So for me, great performance. And Dupont and Tamak, the combination to watch moving forward. France did choke, but they're youngsters. I would say don't panic. The worst thing France could do now is we didn't win the championship when we should have. And by the way, French administration, people are who they are. They've shown me that they are capable of the most ludicrous things. Relax. That was an unbelievable performance. It's still on against Wales this weekend. Beat Wales, the rearranged Scotland game, and you can still win the championship. But remember, you're in a process. And young people need time to grow. And you've been rubbish forever, by the way. Please, France, don't panic. Congratulations to the English, Mario Todje and the boys. By the way, England are in decline. They are maybe the worst they've been in a long time. They are certainly the worst they've been in a long time. Be worried if you're an English fan, because this is your team for the next World Cup. Something's wrong. And again, Eddie Jones will do this, but I don't want to make this about Eddie Jones. We'll talk a little bit about what I think is wrong later in the week. Oh, but England looked bad. Folks, France were missing a couple of people, and they were missing Ntamak. If they had Ntamak, I think there were opportunities for France to execute and finish a few tries out wide. Maybe better distribution, a little bit more composure, somebody who can straighten and maybe take on that last man. France could have maybe been out of sight in that first half. So, yeah, listen, I wouldn't panic. I wouldn't panic. Great performance. All right, let's finish off on this one. Rika Swart says, speaking about rugby, what do you prefer between the best and continuity? My point is that the All Blacks have a very average coach, while the best New Zealand coach is coaching the Crusaders. I see what you're saying, Scott Robertson. You know what, Rickers? I think the All Black way is the correct way to do it. And it's difficult as fans because we want to win now. It's not my problem to think about 8 years' time. But I think if you're looking for longevity in sport is now a business. And I think sometimes we overly lean on analytics. But I think the All Black way of doing it is the best way, because systems win more than talent. So I think when you start to get caught up in the romance of, oh, this is the best, I think the All Blacks always have a plan. And I think Robertson might be next. But he's not in the cycle. And you've got to respect what they're doing now to say, this was the All Black plan. And so many of us in business and in personal life, and this is where the All Blacks have to be admired, right? The Springboks, do you know what? The Springboks are a good and bad example of both. We're so reliant on talent. Listen, look at that France team. right? It's all South Africans. Scotland, all South Africans. Italy, all South Africans. That's our B grade talent. And you look how they talk about them. I mean, you go and look at Ireland and see how they talk about CJ Stander. We got got 6 CJ Standers right now at Affie's, Paul Boys and Paul Chim. CJ Stander wouldn't make our high school teams. And listen how they rave about him up there. So we're lucky. We've got genetically, we've got these incredible people here. We produce incredible athletes. But I think because we never have a plan, we kind of lean on our talent. What happens in South African rugby, for me, and I loathe it, is that our lows in South African rugby, because there's no system, are the pits of hell, right? Our highs are win a World Cup, but our lows are the pits of hell. The All Blacks lows are like a 5, 6 out of 10, right? And then when they're on and they've got talent, it's a 10 out of 10. So I think system over talent for me is something I prefer, Rikus. So I'd always go with, and I know it's a very conservative look, I'd rather lose with the good system over some time, because I think if you keep doing things repeatedly the correct way, eventually it pays off. And I think the All Blacks have shown that. Listen, 03 they struggled, 07 they struggled, and then the system paid off. They stuck with McCaw. Remember when they lost to France, that ridiculous Wayne Barnes game? But they stuck with that team, that core. They stuck with the great Sir Graham Henry. What happened? 2 World Cups in a row. You know, you've got to believe in the system. I think systems will always beat talent. So I'm not sure if I answer your question, but hey, Scott's turn will come. He must understand that. And you've got to trust, if you're a New Zealand coach, that will stick to the system. What does that mean? Is they probably go this cycle, they go the next cycle, and Robertson he won't get this World Cup. He may not get the next World Cup, but he's guaranteed of 3 World Cups time. That's business, baby. That's business, baby. And systems win. And I know it's hard because it takes discipline and it's not about us. And we live in a time where it's about the individual. How do I feel? Systems say, we don't care how you feel. The analytics say, and I'm not sure if I answered your question. Rika says, I think the All Blacks is in really big trouble if they go to the World Cup with this coach. Oh. It's an interesting one. Listen, we also haven't seen the All Blacks for 12 months, 13 months. I do see what you're saying. The regime is not off to a good start. Again, let's be honest. We're measuring them against the greatest rugby dynasty of all time. Graham Henry, Hansen. Like anything compared to that immediately. It's like the guy, let's use Man United as an example. You never want to be the guy to replace Alex Ferguson. David Moyes was always destined to fail. Imagine being a rugby coach replacing Steve Hansen after he just took over from Graham Henry. So I think we must sometimes say the All Blacks are still pretty good, right? It's just that we're thinking, oh my God, Steve Hansen, which was like they perfected rugby for 3 years, right? Like, let's not get caught up in that. I agree with you, though, Rikus. If this is what they've got to offer, I wish we could play the All Blacks tomorrow, because we're doing it right now and we're on the up. And also, folks, Rikus, and to everybody who watches rugby, is sometimes we forget this. We took Richie McCaw and Dan Carter for granted. Greatness doesn't come around. This idea that Bowden Barrett was going to be Dan Carter is ludicrous, because Daniel Carter comes around once he may be in a once in forever, not just in a lifetime. But then you get Richie McCaw with him. That never happens in team sport. It almost never. It's like Man United had Fergie and Keane at the same time. It's almost impossible. It's never happened in the history of the Premier League, and it's never happened again. So I think we kind of took it for granted that they just had that, and they'll replace them, you know? And listen, that Barrett level wasn't bad for a while. But when you got Carter and you've got Richie McCaw, they're the 2 best rugby players of all time at the same time. That never happens. It's like Barcelona right now. Like, because they had Xavi and Leo Messi at the same time, they thought, yeah, come on. With Barcelona, we'll do it again. No. No. Greatness doesn't come around. You don't just, you don't just pick up greatness. And so Rikus, I think I agree with you. They're in big trouble if this is the version of All Blacks that are going to get to the next level. But to fill Daniel Carter's boots, I'm afraid Beauden Barrett certainly isn't the guy. I don't care what you think. And I think they're now starting to see that, hey, that's a real full-time thing, huh? Is to find legendaries impossible. It's impossible. Because you know what's rare in sport? Here's what made McCaw great. Here's what made Daniel Carter great. Is the talent level's a 10, but then the attitude was a 10 as well. Most often, talent level 10, attitude, ugh. That's why Ronaldo, Messi, these people are rare. LeBron James, Michael Jordan, talent and driven to win. Because most people are talented and they just want to enjoy it. That's 99% of us. But then every now and then, you get a Michael Jordan, a Cristiano Ronaldo, who I'm going to squeeze every last drop out. Daniel Carter, Richie McCaw. You had both of them at the same time. It's impossible. That I feel pretty safe in saying we will never see a rugby team like Graham Henry's at the end and Steve Hansen at its pomp. Because you're going to need McCaw's leadership and ability, Carter's ability and leadership at the same time. You're going to need two. You're going to need both of those. You're going to need two industry-defining people at the same time at their peak. I mean, Rikus, I think you make great points. But I haven't seen the All Blacks in a while. I'd like to see what Ardie Savea and this new era is about. I'd like to see what the young Barrett, Geordie Barrett, what is he actually? Because I'm still not sure what's going on there. Is he somebody who could step into the number 10 role, perhaps? Is he better than his brother? Is Johnny the guy at 10 for them? So, I'd like to see what they're going to do in that 9-10. Should they push Aaron Smith out? Sometimes we fall in love with the past, folks. Maybe Aaron Smith's time's up. Maybe, these are things that you have to say, by the way. You got to be willing to chop people early. Let's see what this next batch of All Blacks are like. It's a good time to be a Springbok fan, though, isn't it? We got a coach with a system. Rassie and this group, without talent, are you kidding me? How good does it feel right now to be a Springbok fan? Because we're the standard right now. I don't care what they say, and I know we have our problems in South African rugby, but folks, they can't get enough of our stuff up north. And I keep saying it. That's our B and C grade and D grade talent. CJ Stander goes to Ireland. They think he's... CJ Stander, right, doesn't get in the Springbok squad. CJ Stander is not better than Marcel Coetzee. I don't care what you're going to tell me. Man, it's a good time to be a Springbok fan. Feels good to be South African. Hey, I feel good right now. Guys, I've had a great weekend. I had a great Monday. Rikus, you just made me have a great thought to say it's good to be a Springbok fan right now. Because we're the standard right now. I don't care what people say. Number one, we got the World Cup, but our guys are young as well. Outside of Sia, and we got some guys. We got guys now. We got some beasts. For me, I love our loose trio. And All Blacks. Rikus, I hope you're right. Because if the All Blacks are in trouble next World Cup, guess what? Let's bring it home. Rassie brings home 2 in a row, and we make this thing official. And by the way, I cannot wait for that. Finish off on this. Rikus says, the All Blacks have the best talent in the world. They have at least 2 players per position, but I have never seen them as predictable as last year. Well said. I think that's a good note to finish off on. We'll talk a little bit more about the All Blacks and a little bit more rugby as the week goes. And Rikus thinks it's the coaching issue. Well, what do you think? Cliff Central Sport on social media. I'm MKT Inspires. Otherwise, if you've got your thoughts on the All Blacks, sport@cliffcentral.com. Rikus, I think you make some great points there. And by the way, I'm loving the fact that rugby, that New Zealand rugby is the best rugby in the world. And then I can't wait for the British and Irish Lions. Let's see what we got going there. But that's it for tonight. Rikus, great points. Jesse, great points to everybody. I hope you enjoyed today. Beginning of a great week. Throughout the week, look out for an announcement. We're going to be trying a few things this week. See how that works. But we'll just kind of do it and see if it lands just this week. And then obviously the big announcement as we move over to the other side will be made as well. I would fully anticipate, though, later this week, I'll get back to you. I'll announce this. We'll be moving to midday sometime later this week. We'll be moving this show to midday. So while you're at work, you can listen in. But I'll announce that either Wednesday or Thursday. All right. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm MKT. This is MKT Sport. This is Cliff Central Sport. For now, ladies and gentlemen, we are the hell out of here.